Reading from the sacredtext.com. Sex, Karma, the Kam Sutra of Vatsyayana, translated by Sir Richard Burton in 1883. The Kama Sutra is an ancient Indian text which is considered the primary Sanskrit work on human sexuality. It was written by Malananga Vatsyayana in the 2nd century Common Era. Although Burton published this, the most widely known English translation, he was not the author of the translation, although he did provide footnotes and the introduction. The bulk of the translation was performed by an Indian archaeologist, Bhagwanlal Indraji, and the civil servant Foster Fitzgerald Arbuthnot, with the assistance of a student, Shivaram Pashuram Bigdi. This is one of the first systematic studies of human sexual behavior in the world literature. It also documents the sociology of sex in India 18 centuries ago. So I'm going to start with chapter 2 here. Actually, let's see, where should I start? I'll do chapter 2. So chapter 2. This is from the Sacred Text website, by the way. On the acquisition of DHARMA, ARTHA, and Kama. Man, the period of whose life is 100 years, should practice Dharma, Artha, and Kama at different times and in such a manner that they may harmonize together and not clash in any way. He should acquire learning in his childhood. In his youth and middle age, he should attend to Artha and Kama, and in his old age he should perform Dharma, and thus seek to gain moksha, i.e., release from further transmigration. Or, on account of the uncertainty of life, he may practice them at times when they are enjoined to be practiced. But one thing is to be noted: he should lead the life of a righteous student until he finishes his education. Dharma is the obedience to the command of the Shastra, or Holy Writ, of the Hindus to do certain things, such as the performance of sacrifices, which are not generally done, because they do not belong to this world, and produce no visible effect, and not to do other things, such as eating meat, which is often done because it belongs to this world, and has visible effects. Dharma should be learned from the Shuriti, Holy Writ, and from those conversant with it. Artha is the acquisition of arts, land, gold, cattle, wealth, equipages, and friends. It is further the protection of what is acquired and the increase of what is protected. Artha should be learnt from the king's officers and from merchants who may be versed in the ways of commerce. Kama is the enjoyment of appropriate objects by the 5 senses of hearing, feeling, seeing, tasting, and smelling, assisted by the mind together with the soul. The ingredient in this is a peculiar contrast between the organ of sense and its object, and the consciousness of pleasure which arises from that contact is called kama. Kama is to be learnt from the Kama Sutra, aphorisms of love, and from the practice of citizens. When all the three, viz., dharma, artha, and kama, come together, the former is better than the one which follows it, i.e., dharma is better than artha, and artha is better than kama. But artha should always be first practiced by the king, for the livelihood of men is to be obtained only from it. Again, kama, being the occupation of public women, they should prefer it to the other two, and these are the exceptions to the general rule. Objection 1. Some learned men say that dharma is connected with things not belonging to this world. It is appropriately treated of in a book, and so also is ARTHA, because it is practiced only by the application of proper means, and a knowledge of those means can only be attained by study and from books. But kama, being a thing which is practiced even by the brute creation, and which is to be found everywhere, does not want any work on the subject. Answer: this is not so. Sexual intercourse, being a thing dependent on men and women, requires the application of proper means by them, and those means are to be learnt from the Kama Sutra. The non-application of proper means, which we see in the brute creation, is caused by their being unrestrained, and by females among them only being fit for sexual intercourse at certain seasons and no more, and by their intercourse not being preceded by thought of any kind. Objection 2. The Lokayatikas say religious ordinances should not be observed, for they bear a future fruit, and at the same time it is also doubtful whether they will bear any fruit at all. What foolish person will give away that which is in his own hands into the hands of another? Moreover, it is better to have a pigeon today than a peacock tomorrow, and a copper coin which we have the certainty of obtaining is better than a gold coin, the possession of which is doubtful. Answer: it is not so. The first holy writ, which ordains the practice of dharma, does not admit of a doubt. Second, sacrifice such as those made for the destruction of enemies or for the fall of rain are seen to bear fruit. Third, the sun, moon, stars, planets, and other heavenly bodies appear to work intentionally for the good of the world. Fourth, The existence of this world is affected by the observance of the rules respecting the four classes of men and their four stages of life. Fifth, we see that seed is thrown into the ground with the hope of future crops. Vatsyayana is therefore of the opinion that the ordinances of religion must be obeyed. Objection 3. Those who believe that the destiny is the prime mover of all things say, we should not exert ourselves to acquire wealth, for sometimes it is not acquired although we strive to get it, while at other times it comes to us of itself without any exertion on our part. Everything is therefore in the power of destiny, who is the Lord of gain and loss, of success and defeat, of pleasure and pain. Thus we see that Bali was raised to the throne of Indra by destiny, and was also put down by the same power, and it is destiny only that call reinstate him. Answer. It is not right to say so, as the acquisition of every object presupposes at all events some exertion on the part of man. The application of proper means may be said to be the cause of gaining all our ends, and this application of proper means bringing thus necessary, even where a thing is destined to happen, it follows that a person who does nothing will enjoy no happiness. Objection 4. Those who are inclined to think that ARTHA is the chief object to be obtained argue thus: pleasures should not be sought for because they are obstacles to the practice of DHARMA and ARTHA, which are both superior to them, and are also disliked by meritorious persons. Pleasures also bring a man into distress and into contact with low persons. They cause him to commit unrighteous deeds and produce impurity in him. They make him regardless of the future and encourage carelessness and levity. And lastly, they cause him to be disbelieved by all, received by none, and despised by everybody, including himself. It is notorious, moreover, that many men who have given themselves up to pleasure alone have been ruined along with their families and relations. Thus, King Dandakya of the Boj destiny, or Boja, of the Boja destiny, carried off a Brahmin daughter with evil intent, and was eventually ruined and lost his kingdom. Indra too, having violated the chastity of Ahulya, was made to suffer for it. In a like manner, the mighty Kichika, who tried to seduce Draupadi, and Ravana, who attempted to gain over Sita, were punished for their crimes. These and many others fell by reason of their pleasures. Answer. This objection cannot be sustained, for pleasures, being as necessary for the existence and well-being of the food as body, This objection cannot be sustained for pleasures being as necessary for the existence and well-being of the body as food are consequently equally required. They are moreover the result of dharma and artha. Pleasures are therefore to be followed with moderation and caution. No one refrains from cooking food because there are beggars to ask for it, or from sowing seeds because there are deer to destroy the corn when it is grown up. Thus a man practicing dharma, artha, and kama enjoy happiness both in this world and in the world to come. The good perform those actions in which there is no fear as to which is to result from them in the next world, and in which there is no danger to their welfare. Any action which conduces to the practice of dharma, artha, and kama together, or of any two or even one of them, should be performed. But an action which conduces to the practice of one of them at the expense of the remaining two should not be performed. So these are the footnotes. You can see they're all lined up. So when you click on them, they'll take you down to this part with the brief explanations.